Hey guys, I'm just sitting here with Kraken. We're going through his 1/1 Counters deck. He's been struggling to keep his hands full, so we're here to help him build a card draw engine. Today we are talking about card draw in 1/1 Counters deck. This is something that I struggle with. I'm really good at ops, preordains, harmonizes, cards that I can just put in that give me a one-time card draw. But as I've been playing Commander longer and playing with other people, I'm starting to realize how important it is for us to have card draw engines. And so let's go ahead and just look at a few cards that we could add to our 1/1 Counters deck if we're in the right colors that can trigger and help us be able to draw more cards. So the first card I want to look at is an enchantment. It's 1 green and a blue, 4, and it's called Bred for the Hunt. It says whenever a creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it deals combat damage to a player, you may draw a card. So this is a great card. This is exactly what we're looking for. We're looking for something that anytime something triggers, we're able to draw a card. So another card, when I was looking at this and researching this, was Fathom Mage. So it has Evolve, and Fathom Mage is a 1/1 creature. It's 2, a green and a blue. It has Evolve. So Evolve is whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, if that creature has greater power or toughness than this creature, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And whenever a 1/1 counter is put on Fathom Mage, you may draw a card. So this card is going to trigger all the time, right? And it's not just once per turn. So we could put multiple counters and draw a card as long as it's separate instances. So Fathom Mage is it's a human wizard. It's about 40 cents. It's a pretty cheap card. It's not going to cost that much to add. A lot of these 1/1 counter decks come in red, green, white, and blue, depending on the commander you're choosing. And so a card in white, a creature card in white that I have found that is pretty good in most decks is Dusk Legion Duelist. It's 1 and a white. It's a 2/2 vampire soldier. It has vigilance, and it says whenever 1 or more 1/1 counters are put on Dusk Legion Duelist, draw a card, and this ability only triggers once each turn. But we're going to be putting 1/1 counters. It's going to get us an extra card in our hand, and that is really what we need. It's going to be able to trigger off a lot of other things. Now, one card I do have and I do use all the time is Inspiring Call. It's 2 and a green. It's an instant, and it just says draw cards for each creature you control with a 1/1 counter on it. Those creatures gain indestructible until the end of turn. So not only is it a protector for your creatures, for your 1/1 counters, gets them indestructible, it also helps you draw cards. And these are the kind of cards we're looking for. We're going to need like 5 to 7 of these kind of cards in our deck, so that way we can always keep drawing cards. All right, so I kind of have a hot take, and that is maybe mana ramp is overrated and card draw is underrated. I don't know if that's a hot take or not, but I am seriously thinking about cutting some of my mana ramp cards out of my decks and adding 3 or 4 more cards that get me these card draw advantages, because especially in casual games where they go a little bit longer, I have time to deploy. But one thing I find myself is running out of cards early. I don't know if you guys have that same problem, but I hate sitting there at the deck with 2 cards in my hand while the person across the table is constantly drawing cards. And I might have 3 mana rocks on the battlefield, but they're not doing me any good. Just something to think about. Okay, so Danny Pink is a little bit more of an expensive card. It's around $14. It's 3 and a blue. It's a legendary creature, human soldier advisor. He's a 4/3, but he has Mentor. It says when this creature attacks, put a 1/1 counter on target attacking creature with lesser power. And it says creatures you control have whenever 1 or more counters are put on this creature for the first time each turn, draw a card. Cards like this are good. This one's a little more expensive as far as price range is concerned that I like to spend on my decks, but if you have deep pockets and this is something you're looking at, Danny Pink would probably be a really great add. But basically what we're trying to do is get cards that synergize off of each other. So Pure Imaginative Rascal and Toothy Imaginary Friend are kind of this synergy that I'm talking about. Now, it doesn't have to be these 2 cards specifically, but looking for cards that, hey, I'm putting 1/1 counters or I'm doing something anyway, and I want to get something out of doing that thing. And I'm not saying like the preordains or the ops aren't important at times. It is nice to be able to just play a 1 mana drop, look at the top card of my library, decide if I want it or not, and draw a card. And I think those are still very relevant, especially in decks that you benefit from playing instants and sorceries. But in a 1/1 counters deck, I think it's going to help us a lot to be able to make sure that we're triggering off of those 1/1 counters. There's a lot of cards like these partner cards that we can use in our 1/1 counters deck. A great example of that is Chasm Skulker. It's 2 and a blue and it's a 1/1. And it says whenever you draw a card, put a 1/1 counter on this creature. So we're going to trigger. We're going to be able to draw a card. Put a 1/1 counter on it. That 1/1 counter is going to trigger another card. And then we might be able to draw a card. And then put a 1/1 counter on this creature. And so things like that, things that snowball, these card advantage engines, this is what we want to see in our commander decks. So not only do we want a lot of big, strong, powerful cards, but we also want cards that may not be as powerful, but synergize really, really well together. Now there are a lot of basic card draws that I think are still super relevant. The Council of Four is a card I really like putting in my deck. It says whenever a player draws their second card, during their turn, I get to draw a card. So I'm not only drawing cards on my turn with my 1/1 counters and all the stuff that I'm doing, but I'm also able to fill my hand as we go around the table. And this is a 0/8. It's pretty strong. It's not very threatening. It stays on the board for quite a long time. It is 3 a white and a blue, so it's a little more expensive as far as mana costs go. But I have always found this card to really help me out. And not only that, whenever a player casts their second spell during their turn, I get to create a 2/2 white knight creature token, which I can put 1/1 counters on, or I can use as a chump blocker. So it's a pretty good card. Okay, there is a new card that has come out that has really caught my interest. It's Tataru Taru. She's about $7.50, so not a cheap card, but she's a legendary creature. She's 1 and a white, so you can get her out on turn 2. She's a 0/3. You're going to start getting advantages off of her pretty early. It says when Tataru Taru enters, you draw a card, and target opponent may draw a card. And then she has Sanctioned Secretary. Whenever an opponent draws a card, if it isn't that player's turn, create a tap treasure token. This ability triggers only once each turn. So she isn't going to be triggering so much off of our 1/1 counters, but she's still going to be triggering off of things that are happening in the game anyway. Just like the Council of Four. Except in this case, we're going to be able to make some treasure tokens, we're going to get some mana ramp, we're going to be able to do some things with that. Okay? Now, game changers I think are always a great add if you're playing at that bracket 3, bracket 4 level. Your Rhystic Studies, and most of these cards I'm going to talk about now are over $40. But you got your Rhystic Studies, your Esper Sentinels. Fairy Mastermind is a little bit cheaper, and I found it to draw me a lot of cards because it basically says whenever an opponent draws their second card each turn, I get to draw a card. Right? And it doesn't even say once per turn. So maybe there's a player to my left that draws their second card and I get to draw a card. And then maybe another player has something trigger and they're drawing their second card per turn. So I get to draw a card. Okay? And one of my staples that I put in any deck that probably has blue in it is Mystic Remora. It's only about $7. It's not as expensive as Rhystic Study. You can get it out on turn 1 and you can keep your hand full for those first 2 or 3 turns, before you let it go to the graveyard. So anyways, I hope this helps you guys when you are brewing your decks. I hope some of these cards might spark something that allows you to say, yeah, you know what, this and this is going to trigger and that's going to help me draw cards, and that's card advantage. And I have found that those that draw the most cards and make the most mana usually win at Commander. So good luck in your deck brewing. I hope this helps. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time. My Umbral Caller Zealot to Surveil 1. I'll leave that on top, and I will attack you with Gruta Doom of Depths for 6.